Hey, we got 'em, boys. There is trash talk and drama before the Bengals game, and that is conducive to a Kansas City Chiefs win. There's been smoke between the two ball clubs, and I want to take a moment to weigh in on it, not because of the drama bit, but because, well, someone is wrong. Right, but wrong. In an article from ESPN titled Bengals Cam Taylor Britt says Xavier Worthy is fast, but that's about it. We get the following. Xavier Worthy showcased his record-breaking speed during his NFL debut, but at least one member of the Cincinatti Bengals secondary wasn't overly impressed with the Kansas City Chiefs rookie. Bengals cornerback Cam Taylor Britt did not mince words Wednesday when asked about the qualities that Worthy adds to Kansas City's offense. Speed. That's about it. Taylor Britt told reporters he can run straight, run jet sweeps, and just run straight. He can't do too much else, so that's about it. The Bengals visit the two-time defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs on Sunday, when Taylor Britt figures to line up against Worthy. Worthy was drafted by Kansas City with the 28th pick after dazzling at this year's NFL Combine, where he ran a 40-yard dash in a record 4.21 seconds. The former University of Texas star showed off those wheels last Thursday when he hauled in a 35-yard touchdown reception and also ran for a 21-yard score in the Chiefs' 27-20 victory over the Ravens. Taylor Britt seemed confident that the Bengals would be able to contain the 5'11", 165-pound Worthy. I feel like if you put your hands on him, he's only 100-something pounds, Taylor Britt said. If you put your hands on him, you're going to stop his speed. So basically, get your hands on him. Despite the 2 touchdowns, Worthy did appear to have a somewhat limited role in Kansas City's opener, finishing with 2 catches on just 3 targets and 1 carry, that resulted in the long touchdown run. Patrick Mahomes said Wednesday that Worthy showed, however, that he's able to run routes and find open spaces, and added that the Chiefs want him to keep building. It's just going to be a spark, Mahomes said. Then, when asked about Worthy's debut, it shows what he can do. Obviously, it showed his speed. It showed how he's able to run routes and find open spaces. It's just kind of a start for him. We want him to keep building. We want him to get more and more involved in the offense, but a great start. Obviously, you are probably reminded of another event that ended horribly for a defensive back talking smack about a speedy Chiefs wide receiver. We're going to flash back to 2018. Oh no. Kansas City Chiefs Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey must-watch matchup. This was from Lee Olazak, October 5th, 2018. Chiefs number 1 wide receiver Tyreek Hill asked about Jaguars all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey earlier this week and responded with mostly complimentary words. Hill was quoted as saying, for the Bleacher Report, "He's all right, I guess," Hill continued per Teicher. "I can't wait to line up against him. I hope he presses me. He's a great player. To get my name out there more, I need to go up against more talent like him." Ramsey responded on Thursday with some fiery trash talk for Hill, mainly pointing out that the Chiefs wideout might be an all-pro, but not at a position in which is in question this week. He pointed out that Tyreek Hill was an all-pro special teamer. Questioning Tyreek Hill's capabilities did not go so well for the Jaguars afterwards. Now, is this commentary from Cam Taylor Britt fair? Well, let's look at the numbers. Xavier Worthy ran a 40-yard dash of 4.21. We've heard that 1,000 times just in this one article, which is 100th percentile because it is a record. But that's not the only trick in Xavier Worthy's bag. He had a 10-yard split on that 40-yard dash of 1.49. That is 92nd percentile. But that's not all. He had a vertical leap of 41 inches, which is 96th percentile. You don't often see in football a vertical leap above 41 inches. You just don't see it very often. He had a broad jump of 131 inches. Both the vertical leap and the broad jump were both 96th percentile. Now, is he likely to be jumping straight in the air on the football field? Is he likely to plant his feet and jump forward as far as he can on the football field? No. These are measurements of explosion. How explosive is this athlete? Xavier Worthy, as far as explosion is concerned, is somewhere between 92nd and 100th percentile. Somewhere between 92nd and 100th percentile. Now, the one thing, if you did not see the video that I have on Xavier Worthy being drafted, it's in the draft pick playlist here on the channel. The one thing that stood out to me on the film that I wasn't ready for, I knew the name Xavier Worthy, right? I had done a little bit of scouting of him leading up to the event. I knew that he was fast. I didn't really get much deeper in his game other than to say that his hands were better than his reputation. He had the reputation for having drops. Apparently, some of this was stemming from a hand injury that he had had during one of his seasons at Texas, but he has elite stoppability. Now, for someone of my generation, all I have to do to express what stoppability is to say Fresno State. Everyone of my generation that is a football fan is immediately transported to wherever they were during the Reggie Bush Heisman season, where Reggie Bush ran for approximately 9,342 yards against Fresno State one evening. And there was one play in particular where Reggie Bush is racing down the sidelines and pulls one of these. Reek! And the entire state of Fresno just kept running. Everyone in my generation remembers that move. It was so legendary that you can fact check me on this. Maybe I'm wrong, but to my memory, the stop move, the stop animation, the stop juke, not the left-right juke, the stop juke was not in Madden prior to that play. I believe that one play put that one move into all video games for football moving forward. Now, there was a pretty good one just last week. Isaiah Likely down the sideline. Brian Cook knows what stoppability is if you and I don't. And it is an extremely effective move on the football field. It is extremely, extremely effective when route running. He, Xavier Worthy, was often rated as a better intermediate route runner than a deep route runner in scouting reports. Think about that. A guy with 4.21 speed is noted as being better as an intermediate route runner than a deep route runner. What's going on there? Well, the explosion, his explosive capabilities, makes a cornerback turn his hips. The moment that cornerback turns his hips, Xavier Worthy can stop on a dime and change direction. Now, you're the cornerback just running wild down the field, and Xavier Worthy is running an in route. Xavier Worthy is running a comeback route. Xavier Worthy is running a post, running a curl. Whatever the difference is, you're not next to Xavier Worthy any longer. In 2023, so to sort of illustrate that Xavier Worthy's not just a speed guy, he's not just a guy that runs real fast, real straight. In 2023, Xavier Worthy had 75 receptions and a 13.5 yard per reception average. That Texas team was not simply telling Xavier Worthy, run down there and we'll see if we get it to you. Xavier Worthy was an integral part of their offense. Xavier Worthy was being counted on at all levels. So, the moment Cam Taylor-Britt flips his hips, he had better keep his eye out for where Xavier Worthy is next. But that's maybe not fair. So let's have a look at Cam Taylor-Britt. Cam Taylor-Britt he went to school in Nebraska, so probably we're already looking at an athletic disadvantage. Just kidding. Just joking. A guy who talks about Kansas City being flyover country as often as I do can't make those type of jokes about Nebraska, even if it's Nebraska. He is 5'11", 196, so the same height as Xavier Worthy and, maybe 25 pounds heavier. Who give or take. His 40-yard dash was 4.38. That's 96th percentile. That's good stuff. Unfortunately for Cam Taylor-Britt, that's as good as it gets, because his 10-yard split was 1.52. That's 83rd percentile. 10-yard split, that might seem arbitrary. It's a pretty good number for football because that's a first down. But here's another thing that it is. Many stems of a wide receiver's route, you know it by the 10-yard spot. Unless that guy has extreme stoppability. If that guy, the way Jimmy Smith used to, for anyone who's my age or older, Jimmy Smith, the beginning of his routes, they say all looked the same. One of the reasons he was most effective, he was as effective as he is despite the fact that he wasn't glaringly athletic, was that every route looked the same until the 5 or 10 yard mark. It was only after that point that a cornerback could try to discern where he was going. That 10-yard mark, Xavier Worthy in those 10 yards is 3/100ths of a second faster. Doesn't sound like a lot. Probably in the Olympics, the 100-meter dash was decided from first to last place by less than that in the finals. Okay, that's fine. But what about his 3-cone drill? This is a test of athleticism. This is a test of, ostensibly, stoppability. A 6.93, which is 61st percentile. That's not terrible, but here, let's give him some credit. Only normally so that's a football drill that is hounded on by general managers. So it is so valued by scouting departments and general managers that if a guy thinks he might not put up a very good number, just not gonna run it, baby. Which means the numbers that are put out are normally particularly skewed towards elite numbers. You only run it if you're going to have a good time, which makes slightly less than elite times seem kind of bad. So I can give him a pass on that. 3-cone drill is one of those drills that's very difficult for me to keep track of who's what, how important is it, and what's a good number for what positions. So, okay, I'm willing to just accept the fact maybe I don't know what I'm talking about here. What about the vertical? 33.5 inches. Oof. That is a 7.5-inch disadvantage to Xavier Worthy and a 24th percentile jump. Well, what about the broad jump? You remember what Xavier Worthy jumped? 131 inches compared to Cam Taylor-Britt's 119. That's an entire foot of length. Now, maybe it doesn't come into play. Or maybe it does. Listen, last week, week 1, for the Bengals, Cam Taylor-Britt was on the field. He was targeted 4 times, gave up 3 completions. 75%, you don't want to be giving up 75% completions, but it was only 25 yards. Okay. but he gave up a 90.6 rating when targeted. Against Jacoby Brissett. He was on the field for 65 snaps. That's a lot of defensive football. You're not talking about the 80 that the Kansas City Chiefs played, but the Kansas City Chiefs played Lamar Jackson, not Jacoby Brissett. Here's a bonus question, bonus round. Name a New England Patriots wide receiver. Can you do it? Probably you thought about KJ Osborne, right? KJ Osborne. He's their only wide receiver, by the way, over 24 years of age. The Patriots are so thin at wide receiver that they have a man on their roster, on the injured reserve part of their practice squad, named JaQuae Jackson. He's on the injured reserve, but the Patriots' own website lists him as being named JaQuae without the U, and JaQuae without the capitalization. Now, maybe I'm a bit particular. You can see these books behind me. You've commented on them. I'm a reader. But spelling a man's name 3 separate ways when you are his employer seems a bit egregious. Also, the Bengals lost that game where Jacoby Brissett was throwing the football to Demario Douglas. It is very rich to me for anyone on the Bengals who, look, everybody came into this season thinking that the Patriots were going to be a maybe slightly over 500 team if they got a couple things together. It looked like they were destined to have a pretty high draft pick. And the Bengals in that week 1 game, they weren't slaughtered. It was a 1-touchdown win for the Patriots. Those things happen in the NFL. But it was demoralizing. What were the highlights to that game? Go find a highlight package to that game. Click on the highlight package to that game. It's a refund. They refund you moments for your life. Very boring game. Not a great time. Very rich for anyone on that Bengals sideline to be talking smack on the Kansas City Chiefs, who are the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. And I know, look, you've got to keep your swagger about you somehow. You're professional athletes, you're trying to win the Super Bowl and all, but it is awfully conspicuous at this point how one-directional this smack talk is. You had their wide receiver, who I won't name, earlier this offseason talk about how he won't say Patrick Mahomes' name. Now you have, I think he's the cornerback 2. I think Cam Taylor-Britt's cornerback 2 for the Bengals. I could be wrong. I might be making that up whole cloth. In the back of my mind, for some reason, I think he's cornerback 2. To have cornerback 2 for the Bengals just randomly decide, I'm going to talk about this rookie wide receiver that the Chiefs have that scored 2 touchdowns on 3 touches. I'm going to talk about him in a very negative fashion, just because it seems like the right thing to do today. That is a little bit wild. It's a little bit wild to be talking all this smack when Joe Burrow can't pick up a water bottle. Now, I will defend Joe Burrow. Probably there are a number of you out there who have had chronic injuries in your life as well. A lot of that stuff, the moving around, the squeezing his palm, this thing, a lot of that is phantom pain. It's not going to affect, it could be. It looks to me as if this is phantom pain. This is because you have been up and immobile, or you have been so hampered for so long that the phantom pain is there whether the real pain is or not. So you're doing all of these things to try to feel your wrist and remind yourself, no, I'm 100%. See, I can do this. I'm 100%. So it seems to me that Joe Burrow may not be actually injured. I'm willing to take him at his word for that. But still doesn't look good. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about, dropping videos every day of the week, talking exclusively about the Kansas City Chiefs, and I hope to have you back for the next one.